Don't mind me, I'm definitely not late. So, I don't know if today is gonna be a full-length Ace Attorney stream, just because I'm not sure how well my voice will react to that, but give me just a second and we'll get started. I was very tempted to title today's stream as The Adventure of the Explosive Metal Cylinder, but I don't know if Twitch would allow me to do that. No dry food before stream, you say, as I just ate a whole bunch of cookies.
Have you ever considered, Runo, how our eyes see depth in the world around us?
Well, I just open them and it works.
But the reason it works is because we have two eyes.
Two eyes? Shocking.
If you try closing just one eye at a time, I think you'll see straight away. What you see with your left eye, and what you see with your right eye, are ever so slightly different. You get a different view with each eye. Yes, the position of objects seems to shift slightly, or a lot if you've got a multitude of different eye problems. Exactly, and in your head, your brain uses that shift to estimate depth as it merges the two views into one. And that's how we can sense depth in everything we see.
My brain really is amazing, isn't it? It does so much without telling me.
I think I see. So the pair of photographs consist of a left eye view and a right eye view. Isn't that right? Oh, well done, Susie. You're so quick.
So if you can persuade your brain to merge the two pictures together in your head, you'd be able to see depth in these prints.
Yes, Runo. You're beginning to understand.
And a stereoscope's function is to act as your brain and allow you to do just that?
Yes, but as long as you have two images, two eyes, and one brain, you can actually do it yourself without needing a stereoscope at all.
Also, Squiggles, you reminded me that one of the emotes that I need to either draw myself or commission is I definitely need a bonk emote. You can? Really?
Let's try it. Let's see if you can view this pair of prints without the help of a stereoscope.
Hey Steve, how are you doing?
Oh yes, I'm dying to have a go.
Susato-san really loves this kind of thing.
You need to be able to cross your eyes, is the main thing. Can you both do that?
Cross my eyes? I think I can.
Watch me, and see if you can all copy. Make your eyes do this. Alright, let me try. Are you ready, Mr. Naruhodo?
Yeah.
There, how's that? Wonderful. Now it's your turn, Runo. The trick is to concentrate looking at the bridge of your nose, with both eyes at the same time.
Not exactly an easy task when two people are staring at you cross-eyed. Iris is great.
Alright, that's enough practice. Let's try looking at the prints. And start by staring at one print and slowly crossing your eyes. You should see two overlapping images like this. You try it now, Runo.
Just gonna have to give it a try, I suppose. I've never been able to do this. That's how you solve word searches. Like, I can go cross-eyed, it just... I can't achieve that sort of 3D effect with it.
Did the print split into two images for you? Now, the next step.
Give you a headache? Yeah, exactly.
Is to put the pair of prints side by side like this, and then try crossing your eyes again. And the prints should slowly merge together. Until... they form a new single image in the center. Oh, yes! Mr. Naruhodo, it works! I can see it in the middle now. It looks so real. Oh, I could look at it all day.
I wouldn't advise that. Your eyes might start to hurt.
Your turn, Runo. Pretend you're looking through the two pictures, and slowly cross your eyes.
How do you cross your eyes slowly?
Keep adjusting the position of your eyes until the two images overlap exactly in the middle.
Like this, is it?
There, you managed it. So now you know how stereoscopic images work. Well, I don't know who discovered it, but it really is quite extraordinary. So what do you think of these stereoscopic prints then, Runo?
Certainly amazing, but it isn't easy to get the knack of viewing them properly.
No, some people find it easier than others. Maddie seems to be having a really hard time with it right now. But that's why contraptions like this exist, for people who find it tricky. Oh, I recognize that. We saw one over there yesterday, didn't we? If I remember correctly, you press this little knob here. Then set the pair of photographs in the stand at the back, and...
It's still amazing, even though I know roughly how it works now.
Well, London seems to agree with you. Stereoscopes are very popular at the moment. You can find one of these folding contraptions in lots of households in the capital currently.
If these little machines are so affordable, surely there's no need to go around staring cross-eyed at pictures like you hate them.
But it's much more satisfying to be able to see the effect with your own eyes. Well, I think so in any case.
Stereoscopic pictures. Never even heard of them until yesterday. We've certainly learned a lot about them, but I wonder if it's knowledge that I'll ever actually need. Which reminds me, the back of this photograph was used to write out the pawnbroker's ticket that Gina brought in here yesterday. And the other photograph came from the pocket of McGilded's overcoat.
We need to examine everything thoroughly, don't forget.
Oh wait, am I supposed to be looking at the, It's the ticket that Gina brought in here yesterday.
Yes, having been entrusted to her by Mr. McGilded 2 months earlier. Article deposited, one gentleman's overcoat.
And the other redemption ticket was in the pocket of that coat.
Yes, for a small box deposited 2 days before the omnibus incident.
Wait, what? That have anything to do at all with this? Well, whoops. I did that in the wrong order. I thought that picture number 2 was gonna be the, I thought that picture number 2 would be the new one, but I guess it's not. Picture number 1 is the new one. Look on the back of this print here. There's something written on it.
13th of February, 10 p.m. Article deposited, 1 small box. Loan amount paid, 10 shillings. Redemption deadline, 13th of April, 9 p.m.
So this photographic print is a redemption ticket?
For an article that was deposited 2 days prior to the incident on the omnibus, it would seem.
Yes, a small box. It doesn't tell us much about it, does it?
Perhaps it contains some valuable mementos?
I wonder if this is knowledge I'll ever actually need. Chekhov has aggressively entered the chat. Yeah, very much. That very much is a Chekhov's gun moment, but...
I can't help wondering. Presumably Mr. McGild had never redeemed the article in question, since he still had the ticket. So isn't it possible that the box is still present somewhere in the shop?
Ah, yes. It's something McGild had deposited. We need to investigate. Ah, yes, our blood portfolio. Into the back room. I didn't catch what you were saying. What you saw, Squiggles. I didn't catch it.
Behind that door is the storeroom, isn't it? That's what Gregsy said.
Yes. And that's where I saw that dreadful scene last night. Through the little window in the door. Oh yes, my blood portfolio. We have a portfolio of people's blood. Mr. Windybank, face down on the floor, with Gina beside him.
As the accused's legal representative, you have the right to examine the scene, Mr. Naruhodo. We must make a thorough investigation.
Yes, of course, and we will. Behind that door, it's the real scene of the crime.
Don't worry. If there are clues in there, I'll find them.
It's a lot of canvases. Poor Iris. She's clammed up completely.
Iris is bound to find this difficult. After all, Mr. Windybank's life was taken in this very room only last night.
Ah! He just left. Wait, Inspector. What is it now, Sunshine? You took one look at me and tried to run away. Think a Scotland Yard inspector would run away from some jumped-up little defense lawyer, do ya? You just, well... Never seen her ladyship looking like that before is the thing. I didn't know what to say to her. So you weren't running away from me. You were running away from a 10-year-old.
I'm afraid this is all a little much for young Iris. Some gentle reassurance might go a long way, perhaps, Inspector.
A 10-year-old with much knowledge of dramatic, passionate metal tubes, yeah. Don't trouble yourself unduly, your ladyship. I mean, at least you're not dead, are you? Gregson, you're bad at this. I don't think that went very well. Why? Look, I'm in the middle of an investigation here, Sunshine. I told you not to get under my feet. I don't remember that.
And we have investigating to do ourselves.
Yes. I'd like to hear more of what the socially inept inspector has to say.
Oh, Hurley.
And inquire into how Mr. Sholmes' operation is going. Yeah, last we heard about him, the bullet pierced an artery and he was hemorrhaging a lot of blood. So, Inspector, what do you make of the crime scene here? Pshaw, you've got eyes, haven't you? Use them. So it is what it looks like. Nothing more, nothing less. Iris, could you lend me a hand?
So, Gregsy, what do you make of the crime scene here?
Oh, yes, your ladyship. Do allow me to humbly explain. Last night, at shortly after the hour of 1 o'clock in the morning, Scotland Yard police attended the scene. One and only door to the storm was found locked from the inside. So it was locked from the inside.
The lock appears to be broken now, though. Was that the police officer's doing?
Quite right, ma'am, quite right. We took the liberty of smashing the door in, as humbly as possible.
Oh.
As you can see, the victim was discovered, prostrate on the floor, thuswise. Next to the aforementioned body, we discovered the vile gutter child.
Are you talking about Ginny? She's my friend, you know, Inspector.
Miss Lestrade, hapless girl, is curled up on the floor, dead to the world. She's still alive, you know. Yes, when I saw her, she appeared to be unconscious. I'm afraid to say she had the gun that was used in her hand.
No.
Presumably, it's the gun that's still down there on the floor now. In her pocket, we found the key to the door as well. What? The key to the storeroom?
And you say the storeroom had been locked from the inside, Inspector?
Great, another locked room mystery. Correct. All of which leaves her ladyship's friend. Something of a sticky situation, I'm afraid. Obviously, my personal opinion is that it's all some sort of misunderstanding. Of course it is, Inspector. Of course it is.
Gregsy, do you know anything about Hurley? Is the operation finished? Is Hurley alright? Is he?
Well, the thing is, Don't
mince your words, Inspector. Please. You don't mean to say that Mr. Sholmes is...
No, the operation's done and dusted. It's just that, well...
Out with it!
I wouldn't put it past Susato to just throw Gregson across the room. Yes, ma'am. Use something called a general anesthetic. It's the latest thing, renders the whole body insensitive. Whole body. Anesthetized? That's the best pronunciation I got for that. Is that even possible? It means the operation can be completed while the patient is fast asleep.
Goodness, in the Empire of Japan, we can just manage to provide laughing gas for a tooth extraction.
Trouble is, the latest thing isn't always the greatest thing, if you follow my meaning. Couldn't get the medication to work at first, so it took hours for him to nod off, or so I hear. Now the op's finished, they can't get him to wake up, apparently.
Oh my.
No one knows if it's the anesthetic still in his system, or the bloke's just plain exhausted. But anyway, all they can do is stand back and watch until he comes around again.
Hurley.
The moment he opens his eyes, your ladyship, I swear I shall get the word to you. What a surprise. Even in matters of life and death, Mr. Sholmes has to do things his way. The police have marked the position of the body with a chalk line.
Poor Mr. Windybank. He was a nice old man.
Well, he was shot just once, through the heart. Most likely the fellow died instantly. Wouldn't have felt a thing. This must be his blood, then.
I don't like to ask at such a wretched time, Iris, but I wonder if perhaps... Don't worry, Susie. I'm ready for action.
You gonna turn green? Nope, blue.
And so now we know the color the chemical turns when it reacts with Mr. Windybank's blood. And it doesn't match our analysis of the bloodstain we found in the main shop. No, but let's add this sample to the others we've already collected anyway.
Iris?
Don't worry, I'm alright. But we must find the true culprit. Yes, absolutely.
This is a revolver. A real one.
And quite possibly the murder weapon used to take Mr. Windybank's life. What's the matter, Susie? You and Bruno look like you're about to faint. Well, it's just that I've rarely seen a gun in the flesh.
I've had issues with guns in the past. But anyway, we saw Mr. Windybank with this yesterday, didn't we? I'd love to take my own life. It must be the same gun. And last night, when I looked through the spy hole in the door to the storeroom here, that was the same gun I saw in Gina's hand.
Mr. Windybank told us he only ever had a single bullet loaded in his revolver, didn't he? Well, it's empty now. The one and only bullet he had in his gun had been fired.
So we can be fairly certain that only a single shot was fired from this revolver. Interesting. Which means that at minimum, there was 2 guns at the scene. And 3 shots were fired. Because he took 1 bullet, the sign out in the main room took a bullet, and Sholmes took a bullet. Out of all the articles in the storeroom, this is the only thing that shows any sign of being ransacked. What is it, Iris?
That's the box file that my manuscript was being kept in. Oh.
Iris's unpublished story, The Hound of the Baskervilles. Surely that's not what all of this...
Sorry, Iris, but if you ask me, he's sold it. Without telling you. We must check inside the box, at once. Yes. It was there. Iris's story was there.
Really? Huh. Well, there's a plot twist. I wasn't expecting that to be there at all. I was expecting it to be gone. Really? It was? Well, that's good news, isn't it, Iris?
Yes. I mean, of course I believed Hurley when he said he deposited it there, but still. It's a relief to actually see it.
Really? Because that's not a very well hidden frown.
You see, Runo, the thing that's missing from here is my first prototype of what I call the pipe bomb.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm milking this joke far more than I should, but like, there's something about this game that just puts my brain in pipe bomb mode. Look at all these articles that have been deposited. The room is stuffed full of them.
I can't believe how many there are. A bicycle, a gramophone, musical instruments, even some enormous paintings, look.
Pieces of different people's lives, quietly gathering dust in here together. There's something very peaceful about the atmosphere in here. Or at least there would be, if not for the chalk outline on the floor and the policemen shuffling around. Not much I can do about that, Sunshine. Gregson, please stop reading my inner monologue. The Hound of the Baskervilles. It's really weird. I know of this story, but I don't, like, I know of the actual Hound of the Baskervilles story, but I don't know anything about it. How did Susato-san know the exact title of this unpublished story? I suppose I'll just have to wait until she's ready to explain it to me.
I'm so sorry.
This is a fat stack of paper. That's like 3 reams of copy paper. Holy shit. I guess it's like 2.5 actually, but... Is that what I think it is? Your ladyship's latest.
Yes, my latest story. It's called The Hound of the Baskervilles.
A most fascinating title, your ladyship. Fascinating. And, I don't suppose. Would there be any mention of my humble self in the tale this time?
Good question. I can't really remember.
I see, I see. Well, why would you, your ladyship? Or, well, why would you, your ladyship? I'll just await its publication with eager anticipation. You needn't worry, Inspector. I'm sure that if you do appear, you won't be doing anything particularly remarkable. Wow, rude. You looking to be arrested, Sunshine? I didn't mean it like that. And even if I did, you wouldn't have bitten her ladyship's head off, would you? Inspector, what do you make of this? Oh, what have we here then? A redemption ticket for an article deposited here, is it? Looks like someone ran out of office stationery and wrote the ticket on whatever paper was to hand. Hey James, how are you doing? Yes, this is the ticket. Yes, this is the ticket for McGilded's overcoat. The one the little diver turned up with yesterday. Oh, actually, no, it's not. Really? Think you know better than me, do you? No, I didn't mean to,
Runa's right, Gregsy. This isn't the same ticket.
Of course it isn't. Of course it isn't. I never doubted you, your ladyship. So, what's all this about, then? If I might be so bold as to ask.
This is a second ticket.
The second one? It seems that Mr. McGilded, in fact, had another article in storage here at Windy Banks. Is that right?
I think we need to discuss this further with the inspector, Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh good, because he's ever so easy to talk to. This ticket was in one of the pockets of Mr. McGilded's overcoat. You mean to tell me? Yes, there was more than just the music box disc, it seems. Huh. Should have insisted on the lads taking it back to the yard and examining it properly.
Well, according to the details on this ticket, Mr. McGilded deposited another article here with Mr. Windybank.
Yes, I can see it written here. A small box, was it? Is it the one on the side over there?
Do you have any idea where it is, Gregsy? Any idea at all? It's another article belonging to Mr. McGilded. It could be an important clue.
Well, yes, I suppose it could be. Please, stop looking at me with those big turquoise eyes. I'm all full of hope and expectation. It's too much pressure. If I lose me I'll lose me marbles, I will. I'll go barking. This is no time for dog impressions, Inspector. It's enough sauce from you, Sunshine. There's one thing that springs to mind. According to this ticket, the redemption deadline's already passed, hasn't it?
Oh, yes. Of course. Articles are only to be held for 2 months. And so the small box will no longer be in here, then.
That's right, it's been forfeited.
Which means it could be on the shelves in the front of the shop, where the forfeited items are offered for sale.
Yes, the shelves in the front. We must search them at once. You're wasting your time.
Oh.
There are dozens of little boxes out there. Hundreds, even. Can't possibly know which one might have been McGilded's. The information's not written in the ledger.
Well, I think we should at least have a look, just in case.
Of course, your ladyship, of course. Very sensible of you, I'm sure. This is getting old. What about this one right here? Yes, there's nothing here. So we're probably missing something at, we'll probably need to present something else to Windy Bank. Inspector Gregson, could you give me your opinion about this, do you think? Don't intend to share, Sunshine. Not with the general public. Ugh.
In that case, Gregsy, how about some herbal tea?
Ah, lovely. Ta very much. You really hit the spot here, ladyship. You don't mind sharing that, then? Hey, look at this blood portfolio. And that ledger that's open on the counter there really is enormous, isn't it? Must be an awful lot of work to keep track of all these hundreds of items in pawn.
It's too much to think about. Better to sell it all and have a clear head if you ask me.
Clearly, Mr. Windybank was very careful when it came to the articles in his care.
Yes, this is where all the items that have been forfeited by their original owners are offered for sale. And that's right, they've always got little price labels on them, but there are so many.
I wonder if the small box this ticket was for is still on the shelf somewhere. A box that McGilded deposited here just over 2 months ago.
Even if it were, finding it promises to be very troublesome indeed. And there are so many boxes, it could be any one of them.
Mr. Shulm said that a pawnbroker's was the safest place to store anything. More secure than a bank's vault. So perhaps this small box of Mr. McGilded's contains something of very great value.
Well, if that's the case, he'd probably have kept it locked.
So then we need to find every box with a lock and break them all open. That's a very Shulm's line of thought.
Oh yeah! That sort of misconduct would get you arrested. I won't let that happen.
This takes me back. It's been some time since Susato-san last threw me. I'm fairly sure this contraption was here yesterday as well. And here we are, though I'm not confident I can get it closed again.
Oh yes, that's a folding stereoscope.
Really? This is a stereoscope. Mr. Shulm showed us a picture yesterday that you were supposed to be able to see in 3 dimensions. But for that he used the great big contraption over there.
Well, that's for use in public houses and places like that. It contains a carousel with all sorts of pictures inside. But this little thing is a much simpler design for use at home. There are special shops selling prints that you can use in them. I have a little collection myself.
I wonder if I could make money out of these in Japan. It'll beat keeping my toilet sparkling clean anyway. Good to know that the propensity for cleaning the bathroom when it doesn't need to be cleaned runs in the family. Green blood. Just seems wrong somehow.
Oh, there are all sorts of different colors. There are pretty pinks and purples too, you know. Like I said, everyone's blood is different.
I wonder what color my blood would turn out. Actually, I don't want to know. You know, I'm honestly kind of surprised that the game isn't running with the whole thing of like, hey, can we get a blood sample from you? Just like a little blood smear on the piece of paper. And then just spray it all so it all turns. So you only have 3 talk options. And the way you can identify differences in people's blood like this is amazing. You really are a genius, Iris.
I know, I am. If Hurley and I put our minds to it, we could really shake up Britain's chemists and alchemists.
What good would a blood sample be in this day and age? Comparing it against the colored blood.
And you could shake up Japan's lawyers and judges, couldn't you, Mr. Naruhodo?
Oh, for sure. Even if I didn't intend to.
Oh, my manuscript.
Mr. Sholmes said he deposited it at Windybanks, and he had.
But it's so strange.
Blood color. Did you see the different colors of blood is like, it's how they identify, like, whose blood is who. Because the blood on the sign off to the right here is green, and Mr. Windybanks' blood was blue when we sprayed it with the solution.
But it's so strange. What is it about this particular story? I worked so hard on it. Why would Hurley say I can't publish it?
Afraid I have no idea. Watch it be something along the lines of, this is the last case that him and Wilson worked on together before he had to leave, and Iris said that he had to leave for like a big case. So maybe Sholmes and Wilson dug too deep into something and Wilson ended up in fucking witness protection. Right, I have no idea. All you can do is wait until he's ready to tell you, I suppose.
Oh, maybe. It's because Hurley isn't in it enough. Maybe I didn't give him enough good lines.
Yes, maybe. I wish I could say that definitely isn't the reason, but I can't. It's because they didn't change any of the names. And there's still a Scotland Yard carriage outside of Windybanks.
I never imagined we'd be investigating a case so close to home.
Poor Iris. She's very upset by this. I'm sorry. I was there. I should have done more.
None of this is your fault, Runo. So, please, don't apologize.
But
It's the criminals who are to blame for all this. So let's investigate and work out how to catch them.
Yes, you're right. I like that little dialogue from Iris at the bottom there. This place is so much fun. I'm just itching to dismantle that huge clock. Really? Well, there's something here. Gina doesn't appear to be here.
I believe she must be in questioning at the moment. Oh, but wait a minute.
What is it, Iris?
Well, if you examine the scene here carefully, there's another possibility here, isn't there? Ginny could have slipped the key from the jailer when he wasn't looking, and escaped. Oh my.
Why? Why would she do something like that? It would only make her situation worse.
Calm down, Bruno. I was only joking, of course.
Oh. You had me worried there. I thought it was a great deduction.
Yes, it must be your way with words, Iris. You're so wonderfully persuasive. Perhaps you don't fully understand the weight your words carry. Oh dear, I'm sorry. I suppose a light-hearted great detective is a contradiction in terms.
Well, in the same situation, I'm sure Mr. Sholmes would have just thrown his head back and guffawed.
I'm not entirely sure that's helpful, Mr. Naruhodo.
Well, anyway, it looks like we won't be able to talk to Gina for a while. We should try to make progress with our investigation in the meantime.
Yes, come along then, Bruno. Shh, come along, Susie.
Ace Attorney investigation. Is the Scotland Yard guy supposed to be the gumshoe equivalent? Yeah, kind of. Did I miss something examining in here? What am I missing? Talked with everything. Am I missing something here? What am I supposed to be looking at to advance the plot? This is a personal pet peeve of mine with the Ace Attorney investigation stuff, is just like, it's so easy to just get stuck if you miss one step. Would you mind if I showed you this, Iris? It's just a boring old thing, really, but...
Oh, I don't really like boring things.
Ah. Looks like Japanese modesty is easily misinterpreted by young Western children.
I mean, who does like boring things? No one wants to be shown something boring. Come to think of it, you're always introducing things with, this is boring, but... It's a bad habit. You should stop it.
I'll be sure to let the entire population of the Empire of Japan know on my return. I have to be missing something here. Pleasure, every article, but it's a ridiculous amount of work. And I can't investigate thoroughly on the desk. Am I missing something in the other room? Like... Game's like, hey, you should go investigate, but... the good old Ace Attorney route of figuring out how to get unstuck. Present everything to everyone. Yep, latest story. What am I missing? I feel like I've combed through, like, everything I can. already been 2 months that we've been taking lodgings here above Mr. Sholmes' office. Still can't quite believe it. I never expected things would turn out like this.
When Hurley comes back home, let's have a big party.
It's a great idea. I'm sure it won't be long. Mr. Sholmes is very tough.
Yes. Oh, this looks like a telegram.
It is, but you mustn't open it. Not under any circumstances.
All right, I won't. Now then, let's see.
No, what did I just say? You mustn't open it.
Don't worry, I won't. With this special concoction I've developed, I'll be able to see through the envelope without having to open it.
No, that's not allowed either.
Oh, but I'm sure it's something important.
Little geniuses sure can be mischievous. Only been here in London for about 2 months, but my desk is starting to look a little messy already.
Hurley's desk is far worse, you know.
Sure, if I try hard enough, I can make my desk as messy as Mr. Sholmes's.
I wonder.
You don't think I can?
Well, it takes a certain genius to reach that level of disorder, you know?
Path to true mess is long and arduous, it seems. You know, I've never seen inside Miss Susato's room. I haven't so much as put my head around the door.
Oh, Susie often invites me up. It's so much fun.
Really? What's her room like?
I can't tell you that.
Oh.
A young maiden's private chamber is a place of bittersweet secrets, you know?
Where have I heard that before? I suppose some things are the same the world over. Like...
Poor Ginny. This is all my fault, really. But she'll be alright, won't she? In court tomorrow, I mean.
I'll defend her with everything I've got.
So, she'll be alright, won't she?
Am I that bad at instilling confidence? Three golden balls.
That's right. That sign shows the shop is a pawnbrokery. A bit like your armband shows you're a defense lawyer.
And what's the significance of the 3 golden balls? Does it have some special meaning? Welcome to point and click hell. Yeah, exactly.
I expect Hurley would like to answer that question when he's back from the hospital.
You mean you don't know? I'm gonna hit you with a quick BRB. I will be back in a moment. Okay. So, I'm curious if this will get me unstuck. I guess not. Thanks a lot, game. One use for story mode and it doesn't work.
Mr. Naruhodo, I don't know if you noticed, but there's something rather troubling here.
I have noticed.
The red smear, you mean?
Yes. Looks like blood, doesn't it? I wondered if Susato-san had picked up on that. Well, in that case...
Yes, we need Iris.
We should show this to her before we forget. That's so fucking stupid. I'm mad at that. I didn't look up a guide for that, by the way. I genuinely just was like, I wonder what happens if I examine this.
Oh, that looks like blood.
The worst part is that I investigated the blood stain on this before. And it was like, oh, you know, this is a pawnbroker ticket for the coat that Gina brought.
That looks like blood.
I would say it's from a gloved finger. Almost certainly a glove made of leather.
Well, don't worry, Runo. You can leave the rest to me.
Orpal. Look at that.
Yes, that's a color we haven't seen before, isn't it? We simply must add it to the portfolio of blood samples. It could be an important clue. Although, it would be nice to find out whose blood these different colors correspond to at some point.
Well, this particular stain of blood.
Oh, you have an idea, haven't you? Do you know whose blood this is?
I think I do. Yes, I have an idea whose blood it is. Not from the color it turned, but with a little deduction.
That's right. I think it's clear. Iris, you know as well? You first, Runo. Who do you think it belongs to?
Alright, I believe that this is the blood of... Huh? None of these are my, None of these are my answer. My answer was gonna be Mr. Eggert Benedict, because he had gloves. So the bloodstain...
Oh my, you think this is Gina's blood?
Yes, it was Gina who brought the ticket here to Windy Banks, after all. Sometimes the simplest answer is the right one.
But Gina doesn't own any gloves, at all.
Oh.
And Ginny wasn't injured either, was she?
Ah.
We're trying to work out who the blood came from, so we can rule out anyone who hasn't been bleeding straight away.
Perhaps my answer was a little too simple. Think this through some more. Who do we know was bleeding at the time? Thrice-fired Mason.
You don't sound very sure of yourself, the way you trailed off there.
Well, it was 2 months ago now, that case. And of course, I'd never met the victim, so I'm struggling to remember his name. He was definitely thrice-fired, though.
The victim of the omnibus case? Yes, his name was indeed Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason. But that would mean that this bloodstain was left on the ticket 2 months ago.
Yes, I think it was. Gina brought this ticket here to Windy Banks yesterday. I'm suggesting that the bloodstain was already on it at that time.
And so it's smear blood from the time that Mr. Mason was killed 2 months ago. And something else is coming back to me now. Mr. McGilded was also wearing leather gloves that night.
And the blood was smeared between his thumb and his index finger as well. Now I ask you, what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fella bleeding from his stomach? Wasn't about to start worrying about me gloves now, was I? I reached out to give the man a hand. It certainly does look like a leather glove thumbprint, this mark. We know that Mr. McGilded had no injuries at the time anywhere on his body, from which we can conclude that any blood on the glove belonged to the victim, Mr. Mason.
Mr. Naruhodo, you sound just like Sholmes.
Minus the quirky slip-ups, I hope.
Yes, I think you're right, Runo. Very well. Let's make a note of this. I nearly jumped out of my skin there. How could Mr. Windybank set such a wicked trap?
Witched. I doubt he set out to scare anyone.
Is it really the time? I think perhaps we should pay Gina another visit soon.
Oh?
Her trial is tomorrow. We must establish whether or not you will be defending her.
Excuse me. We already have her papers of representation.
I think we should ask her one more time. She may have changed her mind. Don't you remember, Bruno? You told her she could rip up the representation papers if she didn't want you to be her lawyer.
Really? Did I say that?
Yes, you did. The deadline for submitting the paperwork is fast approaching.
In that case, we'd better hurry back to the prison and talk to Gina again. Ah, Gina, good, you're back.
The police must have finished questioning her then. Oh, how was it, Ginny? Was it awful? Oh. Didn't bother me.
Thank you for the papers you signed before. It meant we were able to investigate at Windybanks.
Oh, right. Don't you want to know how we got on? We've been ever so busy. What's the point in asking? Won't change what everyone's thinking. That I did it. That's not...
Gina, we came to ask for your final decision.
What decision?
About tomorrow's trial. Will you let me defend you, or not?
I must submit the paperwork now, if you'd like Mr. Naruhodo to represent you. Right, I see.
She's really lost her fight all of a sudden. But I know what that feels like. The worry is just so hard to bear. Hey Gina, look, we found the manuscript. We found this in Mr. Windybank's storeroom. The manuscript of Iris's latest story.
Oh, right. Well, that's good then.
Curiously, the storeroom at Windybank showed no sign of being ransacked for items of value or the like. With one exception. The box file that housed this manuscript. It was you, wasn't it, Gina? Who broke open the box containing this manuscript last night. You were determined to find out whether or not the Hound of the Baskervilles was really there. That's the real reason you broke into the storeroom last night, isn't it? Why don't you tell us what happened, please?
Oh, alright then. Blimey, give it a rest with them eyes, Iris. So come on then, fill us in. Who done it?
Unfortunately, we don't know that yet.
You don't say. We don't know yet, Gina. But Mr. Naruhodo and all of us know that you're innocent of this crime.
Well, we haven't yet managed to work out who the real culprit is. There are a number of interesting facts that we've managed to establish.
Oh yeah? Like what?
Well, for example, the reason for you being there in the first place. I think I know now why you broke into Windybanks that night.
We already have the representation papers and documents we need.
All we have to do is hand them to the court clerk. That is, if you'll allow me to represent you in court tomorrow.
Nah, don't bother. Ginny. Rip him up and chuck him, would ya? Them representation papers or whatever they're called. This cell ain't fancy enough to have a bin.
So what will you do in court tomorrow?
I'll be fine on my own.
That's not...
I don't think you will be. Look, it don't matter. What's gonna happen is gonna happen.
This is one stubborn pickpocket.
Alright, yeah. This Baskerville story. It's the latest Sholmes adventure, right? But it ain't been printed yet. And so I figured, it's gotta be worth a fair few pieces of silver, right? Oh yes, at least 5,000 pounds. What?
So you intended to sell Iris's manuscript, did you?
No. Ginny, how could you? Wait, no, hang on. Of course I weren't gonna sell it. All I wanted to do was find out if the mantle script, or whatever you call it, really was there or not. And that's the only reason I was in the place. And for Iris's sake. Isn't that right?
We knew why you'd done it from the start, Gina. Of course we did.
But... I knew you wouldn't do anything mean like that, Ginny. I just knew it. Well,
When I saw the manuscript in the storeroom, it reminded me of what you said the night before.
Grown-ups do a lot worse than that, believe me. Barefaced liars, the lot of them. You just ain't realized it yet. I'm telling ya, that mantle script ain't at Windy Banks. You'll soon see if you had a look. If I'm honest, I have wondered if Hurley's telling me the truth sometimes. I mean that I sometimes wonder if he might have hidden my manuscript somewhere. Somewhere I don't know. Even though it's wrong of me to doubt him. Oh, Ginny, that was so sweet of you. Alright, alright. I'll tell you why I did it. Just stop looking at me like that, Iris. It weren't because of Iris. That's not why I did it. I just wanted to know the truth, that's all. You wanted to know if Mr. Sholmes was being honest. If he'd really deposited the manuscript at Windy Banks. It's like I told you the night before. I never had a father. But Iris's lot ain't like mine. She's got a dad, only she can't see him.
That's not true.
And I reckon that's gotta be odder. That's why she writes her stories. They're about her dad, really. It's what it sounded like to me anyway. Last night when I was listening to what you were saying. And stories about Daddy?
You mean they're not the adventures of a great detective? So much as the adventures of a great detective and his trusty partner?
Well, that's how I see it, yeah. You're so thoughtful. And so kind, Ginny. Yes, and we never thought any differently, did we? Look, give it a rest, will ya? I hate all this chummy nonsense, do you hear? I hate it. I don't trust no one, right? It's how I work. Because if you trust no one, they can't let you down. So leave me alone. Go on, Scapa.
She got blood on her sleeves? Hadn't noticed it until now, but it's unmistakable. Right there on both sleeves of that overcoat. There's some very suspicious red stains.
What? Why are you looking at me like that?
I think it might be worth presenting some of our other findings in that area to Gina now. Those stains on the sleeves of your new coat, Gina. They're blood, aren't they? Not that I know whose blood yet.
What? Blood, Mr. Naruhodo?
You don't appear to have any obvious wounds yourself, though. So it could be blood that spattered from Mr. Windybank when he was shot last night, or could it be?
Let's not beat around the bush here. This trusty friend of mine will get results much faster than anything else. Yeah. Take it easy, Iris. Don't move, Ginny. I'm going to shoot.
Wait.
Oh. Oh my.
What in the... Forget the sleeves.
The whole coat is covered in blood.
Of course. The black color of the fabric was masking the stains. That's why we haven't seen them until now.
And the blood has reacted with the chemical to turn a purple color.
Wait. Huh? Does that mean that's Mason's blood?
And the blood has reacted with the chemical to turn a purple color, which matches one of the samples we've already collected perfectly. Yes, now let's see. Who had the purple blood? Aha! Yes, it was the brickmaker, Mr. Mason, the victim of the murder case 2 months ago.
I knew it.
What are you all on about? The victim? What do you mean? It's a rather uncomfortable situation, Mr. Naruhodo, but I think this makes things quite clear. It means the omnibus case is finally solved. The truth about who really murdered the brickmaker, Mr. Mason, is revealed. Boy, would someone explain what's going on and stop telling off the story?
We can see now that the victim's blood is all over Mr. McGilded's overcoat.
But in that trial 2 months ago, the defendant said this in his testimony.
Now I ask yous, what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fella bleeding from his stomach? Wasn't about to start worrying about me gloves now, was I? Reached out and gave the man a hand. If you look at this overcoat now, it's clear. These stains couldn't have arisen from Mr. McGilded trying to pull the victim to his feet.
No. If that's what had really happened, the blood wouldn't have splashed all over the front of the coat.
Only explanation for this pattern of blood is that it splattered over McGilded's coat when he stabbed the victim in the stomach. I've tried to run from the truth for long enough, but there's no escaping it now. The true culprit in that case, Mr. Mason's killer, was Magnus McGilded. To be fair, that was also pretty obvious.
Mr. Naruhodo.
That horrible case is solved at last. And I helped the man walk free from that trial. I used all that twisted testimony and all that sham evidence to prove his innocence. How could I have let that happen?
Bruno, did you believe him, though? Did you believe that Mr. McGilded was innocent?
I believed. Or rather, I think I was trying to believe. I wanted to. Because believing in those you represent in court is a defense lawyer's greatest weapon.
A weapon?
Before we came to Great Britain, a great friend of mine taught me a valuable lesson.
You mean Kazuma-sama?
Listen, Ryunosuke. We lawyers are only human. We can't know for sure what is the truth and what is a lie, which is why we must resort to our primary weapon. An unwavering belief in our clients. That's all we really have. Unwavering belief. Only when we truly believe what our clients tell us can we fight with everything we have for their cause. In any battle, there can be no victory without faith. So I believe you, unwaveringly. What's funny, Gina?
Cool. It sounds like this Empire of Japan you come from, everyone must be soft. Well, come on, look at the mess it's got you in, believing in that bog trotter.
Yes, I inadvertently helped a murderer walk free.
Well, at least you've learnt your lesson now, eh? Believing in people's never worth it. Someone always stabs you in the back in the end. As soon as you let down your guard, you've at it. And take a leaf out of my book. Believe no one, get hurt by no one. Gina, may I ask you something? What? I'd just like to make absolutely sure. What would you like us to do with these representation papers for tomorrow's trial? How many times do I have to say it? Rip him up and chuck him away. Are you really sure that's what you want? I bet that's what he wants and all now. Mr. I'm a Believer lawyer over there. Don't forget it was me in that trial 2 months ago. I let everyone up that garden path, didn't I?
Wow.
And you're telling me you can believe in me after that? Not likely. Well, Mr. Naruhodo?
Lawyer's primary weapon is an unwavering belief in his clients. Ultimately, it comes down to whether or not I feel I can trust Gina after everything that's happened. I trust her. She's a good bean. Gina, let me say it again. Please allow me to represent you in tomorrow's trial.
You half-baked.
Not at all. You've not once admitted to committing the crime, have you? What's more, I believe that you're telling me the truth.
Seriously, Mr. Naruhodo.
Naruhodo.
Didn't you hear all of what I said before? I'm a born liar. Fibs just trip off my tongue. And my diver, don't forget. I pulled the wool over your eyes 2 months ago and got you in all sorts of trouble. Why would you ever trust me now? I just don't get it. Gina. I do understand why you chose not to put your trust in others. But I assure you, there's more to this life than you yet realize. What do you mean? The world we live in is full of people you would do very well to trust. People who won't ever let you down.
It's true that I'm just a student of law, and I'm certainly lacking in courtroom experience. But I can promise you this. Whatever happens, and until my very last breath, I am completely on your side.
What do you expect me to say to that? Then it's decided. I'll take these papers now and carry out the necessary preparations for tomorrow's trial. It would be a shame to throw them away now, after it's been penned with your name so beautifully. Do what you like. You Eastern Lotta. I don't know what you are. I don't get ya.
Gina's taken herself off to the back of her cell. She'd never admit it, but I hope she's feeling relieved. That turned out alright in the end, I think.
Whoever's hiding in there, show yourself at once. Eavesdropping is the height of cowardice.
Miss Susato?
Somebody there is there in the shadows. I can sense it. Somebody who wasn't there before.
What? Blimey, you're sharp, eh? Oh. That was kinda close to Grayson's voice. Not quite, but... I suppose you were using one of the mystic Japanese arts. The art of stealth I've heard so much about. If anyone was being stealthy, it was you, Inspector.
Gregsy.
Oh dear me, I'm most terribly sorry, your ladyship. I didn't mean to startle you.
How long have you been listening in on our conversation?
Good grief. Listening in? No, no, no. I just got word that there were some visitors who were refusing to leave, even though it was after hours. I assure you, your ladyship, I only just arrived. This very minute, not a moment earlier. That's all it is, nothing untoward, nothing at all. After hours? Is it that late already? So then I'll humbly excuse myself now, your ladyship. Ta-ta, toodaloo, cheerio. All the best, by and by. Or by and by. That's a lot of farewells. Not one of them appropriate for her ladyship.
Oh, but I wanted to have a chat.
I'm terribly sorry, but time is pressing at the minute.
Oh, I see. That's a shame.
The urge to make a pipe bomb joke. If we don't get this emergency, the Supreme Court dealt with sharpest. Lord Strongheart will... Well...
Emergency?
Lord Strongheart. Then forget I said anything. Anyway, I'm off.
Alright, Gregsy, if you have to. But let's chat soon.
Delighted, charmed, can't wait, if you please, my pleasure. That's a lot of pleasantries, and not one of them sounded sincere.
Gregsy's so funny. He always says such silly things.
It's certainly entertaining to see an inspector of the police fawning to a 10-year-old. But anyway, I wonder what this emergency is at the Supreme Court.
I must attend to the court clerk's office now before it closes.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Miss Susato.
Kindly escort Iris home now, Mr. Naruhodo. I shall meet you there later.
So our investigation came to an end. Susato-san went to file the necessary papers for my defense of Gina the following day. And then it hit me. No longer suppressed the wretched feeling that had been gnawing away at my insides. Tomorrow, Susato-san would be leaving Britain and making her way back to Japan.
Naruhodo-san, it's been a very trying day, hasn't it? I do hope you're not too exhausted.
What about you, Susato-san? Today has been even more trying for you, I'm sure. Mr. Sholmes was shot before our eyes, Gina was arrested. All on the back of the news that her father has fallen ill and that she must return to Japan at once. I hope your father recovers soon.
Thank you for your kind words. I wonder why it is that so many thoughts rage in my head like a storm, and yet I seem unable to find the words to express any of them.
I know exactly what you mean.
Anyway, I have one final task to complete as your judicial assistant. Once that is done, I shall make preparations for my departure tomorrow.
One final task.
It's just 2 months since we arrived in London. But we've managed to establish this office. It was finally feeling as though we were settling in. I would be lying if I said I felt no regret.
So sorry, Susato-san.
It's just so sudden. I really don't know what to think. I've had no time to gather my thoughts.
I know we've only been here a short time, but in my limited experience of the courtroom, I feel I've learned something.
And what would that be?
It seems to me there are many facets to people's personalities.
Facets?
And like a jewel, the light plays off of them in complex patterns, illuminating their actions and their motives. But we only see a small number of the total facets, and what is illuminated is only part of the whole story. What lies in the shadows? What do those facets we cannot see look like? Perhaps there are some parts we'll never lay eyes on for as long as we live.
That's so true.
Sometimes I feel as though I'm blind to so much. But I keep hoping that one day it'll all become clear. That all the facets will be illuminated, and I'll finally understand how everything fits together.
Naruhodo-san.
I suppose what matters is that we keep our eyes open and keep moving forward, even if the way sometimes seems dark.
It's amazing to think it's been just 2 months. You've grown so much.
Sorry? What?
Oh no, it was nothing unimportant.
Do you know what time you'll leave for London in the morning?
Yes, I picked up my ticket earlier. I shall be leaving here at 4 a.m.
I see. Well, I'll escort you to the station.
Absolutely not.
Sorry?
I'm sure you realize why I couldn't possibly let you do that. You have a very important day ahead of you tomorrow.
Gina's trial. Yes, I know, but...
Every word you utter will have the potential to determine Gina's fate. You must get as much rest as possible. Even though, like me, I'm sure you will find it hard to sleep. But please, for me, do try.
You mentioned one final task a moment ago. What did you mean?
Oh my, I nearly forgot. Please, I want you to have this.
What is that? Some huge bundle of documents?
It's my notes from the case 2 months ago. The murder that was committed on the omnibus.
A gilded case.
It seems to me that this case of Mr. Windybank's murder, of which Gina is accused, is very much tied up with that omnibus case, in ways that are not yet completely apparent. So I took the liberty of consolidating my writings about the case for you.
Everything else she had to think about. Susato-san still managed to do this. And all neatly laid out for me in her beautiful handwriting.
It was my pleasure. I can only hope that it will bolster your case tomorrow for Gina.
Thank you so much, Susato-san. I'll do my best to use it wisely. You really are the best judicial assistant in the world.
Well, that's extremely flattering. But I'm sorry to say that I've been a complete failure.
Sorry? I didn't quite catch what you said there.
Oh, ignore me. I was just mumbling to myself. Well, it's getting rather late. I think you should go to bed now, Naruhodo-san. I must finish packing up my things in my room.
Susato-san, I
wish you the very best of luck tomorrow. Good night.
Wait. There's something I need to say. What was that?
A secret technique of mine. The Susato shutdown.
Shutdown?
Please, I implore you. If we have to voice our goodbyes, I won't be able to hold back my tears.
Susato-san. Truly had been a trying day. On our feet for hours, getting Gina to open up to us, and learning the truth about that nemesis of a case. Physically and mentally, I was exhausted, and yet the idea of sleep seemed impossible. But I forced myself to close my eyes. And as a cacophony of scenes of our lives here in London played through my mind. Eventually, my fatigue triumphed, and I fell into a deep sleep. Yes, I quite understand. It's a great weight off my mind. I don't know if this is Sholmes, but... That is a great weight off my mind. Rest assured, I shall put everything in place exactly as we have discussed. Thank you so much. It has been an honor and a pleasure to be acquainted with you, it has been an honor and a pleasure to be acquainted with you, Mr. Sholmes. On the contrary, the pleasure has been mine. I bid you farewell, and Godspeed. Oh. My dear madame. When I awoke the following morning, Susato-san was already gone. Outside the window, the rain came down in sheets. And so began an even longer day than the last. One that I would remember for the rest of my days. Hey, you're not wearing the coat. I guess the coat was splattered in blood, so she might not want to wear it, but it did look good on her. Good morning, Gina. I'm determined to prove your innocence today. I'm sure we can do it.
So, where's your friend then?
Sorry?
You know, her in the fancy dress.
Susato.
Susato, or however you say it. I don't know.
Miss Susato had to leave early this morning. She was already gone by the time I woke up.
You alright with that, are you? Forget about me if you like. Go see her off.
It's fine. It's not as though Miss Susato and I won't meet again. One day.
Even so.
But you, Gina. You only get one chance. This trial today is all we have.
Good morning, you two. How are you feeling, Ginny? Did you manage to sleep? Iris, what are you doing here? What do you mean? When a friend is in need, we show our support. Isn't that right, Waggy? Waggy!
Great way to show your support, Kitty.
Let him have his nose around. What I'm gonna do. Oh, that reminds me. I bought a paper on the way here.
That's a Chekhov's gun if I've ever seen it.
Now, would you like the good news or the bad news? What do you say, Runo? Ginny?
Oh, well, I think I'd rather get the bad news out of the way first.
Nah, always take the good news first. You might not live to hear the bad. Yes, that question always gives away people's personalities.
Let's not go there.
Alright then, I'll give you the bad news first. A record amount of rain has fallen this morning, and carriages all over the capital are struggling to move.
Huh? The bad news was a weather report.
And so I hope that Susie made her train to Dover, and that the train isn't delayed on its way to the port.
Gosh, yes.
Alright then. And so what's the good news? Well, the rain is forecast to subside this afternoon. So even if the train is delayed, it should be able to make up the time later. Well, that is good news, isn't it? I couldn't give a monkey's, really.
Only all good news cancels out the bad.
And look, this trial has made the headlines too. Pawnbroker perishes in pick-purse plunder, see? How do you like that? Well, let them say what they want. See if I care.
I can't, because you're covering your face.
Don't worry, Runo will show everyone that this headline is nonsense.
I will?
And then, in tomorrow's papers, the headlines will be... Discharged diver is dauntless do-gooder. Isn't that right, Bruno?
Oh, Yes, let's hope so.
Of course they will. I have absolute faith in you. How was that? I was trying to sound like Susie. Did it work? Did it?
It's like she was still here.
Good luck then, Bruno. I'll do what I can. Obviously, I don't know the law like Susie does, but still. I'll be by your side the whole time, giving you moral support and encouragement.
I'm not sure that big thing is as comforting as you think it is, to be honest, but... Thank you, Iris. That's very kind of you.
Oh yeah, Iris. Yes, Ginny. Well, I was wondering is all. About Sholmes. Did they fix him up alright? Yes, the operation was a great success. But Hurley still hasn't come around yet.
Huh, that's wrong.
Eh. I've asked a friend of mine at Scotland Yard to send a telegram as soon as he wakes up.
Sure, Greg's gonna let us know the moment there's news.
Oh, right.
No Susato-san and no Mr. Sholmes. It's all down to me today, to prove that Gina is innocent of this crime. Sheila Lestrade, counsel for the defense. The trial is about to begin. Please make your way into the courtroom.
It's time then.
Yes, let's go. Gina, Iris?
Lead the way, Runo.
Poor Gina. She's trying to put on a brave face, but I can tell she's worried and scared. I have to believe in her from start to finish. That's the weapon that will secure our victory here. If I learned anything from my great friend, it's that. Or it's that. Let's get some low voices. There he is, Mr. Victorian Vampire himself. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. This trial shall determine the guilt or innocence of Miss Gina Lestrade. Now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready. Lord Van Zeeks, my lord, remind me, how many years ago was it that you withdrew from the public prosecution service? It was some 5 years ago, my lord. Yes, and then 2 months ago you resurfaced somewhat unexpectedly, and here you are again today. Are there some circumstances from which the court should be aware that have led to this erratic behavior? What one might describe as your former life, 5 years past, you dealt exclusively in matters that concerned the highest echelons of society and government. Really? Yet today you chose to try a simple case of burglary and murder. I confess I find it more than a little befuddling, counsel. There are 2 types of person I cannot abide. Firstly, those wealthy scoundrels who hide behind a mask of philanthropy to cheat the public at large.
He means Mr. McGilded, who you defended against the Reaper 2 months ago.
Yes, I just about managed to work that out, thank you. Magnus McGilded. If I'd known what a monster he was, I never would have defended him. And secondly, even more loathsome, Those wily scoundrels who masquerade as allies, only to effect total betrayal in the final hour. In other words, confidence tricksters from those tiny islands in the Far East. The Nipponese, aka you're racist. What? Did he really just say that?
He means you now, Runo.
I actually managed to work that out too. Thank you, Iris. Total betrayal? What are you talking about? That torrid look of hatred in Lord Van Ziek's eyes. Was that directed solely at me? Or was he talking about all Japanese people? Alarmingly scathing explanation, Lord Van Zieks. Still, the judiciary welcomes the return of the so-called Reaper of the Bailey, feared by all London's malefactors. Your lordship is too kind. Now, jurors, 6 of you have been selected at random to represent the will of the people in this trial. We have one new face in this trial, and it's the guy that's the third from the left. The guy on the far right is Villain Bolshevik from the boat trial. Are you ready to hear the evidence placed before you and determine the guilt or innocence of the defendant? I'm a lieutenant of the British Army here. Don't you know, chaps like me were born ready.
Clean crockery, clean cutlery, and clean conscience. His lordship's motto is very appropriate here, I think.
Everything will be stereoscopic in the future. Absolutely, absolutely everything, and I'm ready for it. I don't understand it. I can't have left it in there. It's not possible, but could I have? That's not something you want to hear your surgeon say.
Women indispensable in society. Stop. Female-centric future awaits. Stop.
Today, I'm visiting London for a sightseeing. I'd like to take a bus to the Crystal Tower, please. Yeah, that was his whole shtick, wasn't it? He wanted to blow up the Crystal Tower.
Is something wrong, Runo?
Oh, not exactly. It's just... I'm fairly sure I recognize these jurors. Almost all of them, in fact.
Really? Funny coincidences like that do happen from time to time, don't they? But it is quite strange. The jurors are chosen at random from London's 6 million inhabitants, you know?
So I've been led to believe. Something tells me I'm being duped. Very well. Now, Lord Van Zieks. The court calls upon the prosecution to introduce the facts of the case. As you wish, my lord. Allow me to begin with a word of warning to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. In short, there has never been a more self-evident case of cold-blooded murder. The victim, Mr. Pop Windybank, proprietor of a pawn shop on Baker Street, was shot from behind and died instantly. The prosecution presents this photographic print of the crime scene. As the court will observe, there is a single bullet wound just below the gentleman's left shoulder. The evidence suggests that the bullet pierced the man's heart, resulting in near-instant death. Moving on to the findings of Scotland Yard's coroner. His report states that the bullet entered the body on a rising diagonal trajectory. And what's that supposed to tell us? It means the victim was likely shot by someone significantly shorter in height than himself. Someone Like the accused, you might say.
Oh.
The prosecution wishes to present the autopsy report and crime scene photograph as evidence, my lord. Indeed. Court accepts. Hand them to the bailiff, please. I now ask the court to turn its attention to this plan of the establishment where the incident occurred. The proprietor was found in the storeroom where he kept articles pawned to him. I'm sorry, I'm like very out of breath for some reason. The windowless room with a single point of entry. A door to the main shop that was found locked. In this sealed chamber, there were only 2 persons present. The victim, Mr. Windybank, and the accused. It may further interest the court to know that when the accused was discovered at the scene, she had in her hand the gun used to fire the fatal bullet.
Well, that's that then, isn't it? Nothing more to say.
Isn't that grubby little girl a pickpocket anyway? It's one of those filthy drabs that live in the slums in the East End. Oh well, it was only a matter of time before she got blood on her hands then. The juror's waiting for her. The girl's guilty as hell. We can't jump to conclusions here. We mustn't assume her guilt because of what she has to do to survive. My learned Nipponese friend, it is you who mustn't jump to conclusions. The prosecution has barely begun presenting its case. Conveniently, this appalling act of murder did not go unobserved. There were witnesses who also, who also are not being considered as suspects. Good gracious. After their testimony, this girl's true nature will be exposed. Pitiful pickpurse or cold-hearted killer. Here's to establishing the truth. Court will take the floor plan and the firearm into evidence. Hand them to the bailiff, please, Lord Van Zeeks. At once, my lord. This isn't good.
I feel like the mood in here has turned very gloomy all of a sudden, Bruno.
I think it's because it has. Really? You're throwing off the cape this early, buddy? Let us begin. Bring forth the witnesses to this foul murder of Mr. Pop Windybank on the 16th of April this year. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court.
Nash Skulkin. Name's Nash Skulkin. Occupation is, baddie. Professional baddie. Name's Ringo Skulkin. Occupation's, same as him.
Tobias Gregson, Scotland Yard Inspector.
That's right. What they call Three Skulkin Brothers.
What are you looking at me like that for? Don't let me in with you lot.
Oh, blimey, that's cold. Don't you know what we're going through? It's our older bub. Lost contact with him we have, so we're scouring every shady corner of the capital. And last night we came across you. The very spit of the bloke. Ain't that right, Ringo? He is, Nash, he is. The very spit of him. I decided there and then what we gots to do.
What are we gonna call you? Hey, bruv Skulky. Come on, leave it out, you two. Skulky Skulkin. And that's before he's run out of chips. Well then, Inspector Skulky Gregson. Begging your pardon, my lord, but the name's Tobias. What I would like to know, Inspector, is what you're doing at the witness stand. The Skulkin brothers are currently under arrest, my lord, on suspicion of theft. Whose are they? These three? No, my lord. Begging your pardon, but please don't lump me in with this lot. 2 nights ago, these brothers illegally entered an establishment with intent to burgle. How on earth has Lucifer, the Prince of Darkness, become a prosecutor? Yeah, he's got that good Victorian vampire aesthetic, doesn't he? And in the course of their nefarious activities, they became embroiled in a far more sinister crime. By Jove, you mean to say, what an extraordinary coincidence. Indeed, my lord. While attempting to burglarize the pawnbrokery, they witnessed its proprietor's murder. Order! Order! The various trespasses of these brothers is not the subject of today's proceedings, though they will naturally face trial in the very near future. Your lordship's permission, I'd like to remain in the stand to keep these gents on the straight and narrow. Of course, Inspector. Skeptical as I am about the caliber of these witnesses, I'll permit them to take the stand. Mr. and Mrs. Skulkin, you will now testify before the court. Describe the events of the night in question, and what exactly you saw. Happy to. Because Skulkin's never skulkin'. Get out of it. I swear, watch them actually be siblings. I was walking down Baker Street in the small hours. And the Gap's door was ajar, see? It was like some kind of sign, begging for us to go in, it was. So we got inside. Core blimey lummy, we heard a gunshot from the back room. We went to see what was what, but the door was locked from the inside. Never done nothing, Governor. We never took nothing. We left after that, nice and quiet. A terrible coincidence, it would seem. At the precise moment these miscreants entered the property, even more sinister crime was afoot. The witness's testimony is consistent with the crime scene in every detail. The door providing access to the storeroom from the main shop was indeed locked from the inside. And within, only the victim and the accused were found. I must say, it does appear to be an overwhelmingly simple case. Still, the defense may cross-examine the witnesses now, of course. Counsel, if you please. Counsel? Yes.
What's the matter, Bruno?
Sorry, I was just stunned into silence for a minute by the blatant lies being told by that pair in the stand. I know that it's all nonsense because I saw it with my own eyes. I'll just have to expose their testimony for the pack of lies it is. Just walking down the Baker Street in the small hours. The Gap store was ajar, see?
Hold it!
The front door of Windy Banks was ajar, you say? What time of night was this? Must have been about 1. Right, Ringo?
Yeah, I'd say so. Right, Skulky? Or Sulky?
What I know? Place would have been shut at once in the morning, just like every other shop in town. Well, it was pitch black inside, it's true. Ain't that right, Ringo?
I'm not so sure, Nash. I seem to remember a little light burning inside. What about you, Silky, the old mucker?
Leave me alone. Definitely was a small lamp burning inside. That's what alerted us to the situation in the first place. When these gentlemen ventured into the open establishment, the accused, Miss Gina Lestrade, already had the muzzle of her gun trained on the unfortunate victim.
Objection!
That's pure conjecture. Perhaps, but it changes nothing. These brothers inadvertently wandered into the middle of a cold-blooded murder, simply because they found the door of the victim's establishment open and ventured inside.
Right, that's what happened. It was like some kind of sign, begging for us to go in, it was.
Hold it!
What are you trying to suggest? That you had to go in? Well, God moves in mysterious ways, they say. Don't they, Ringo?
They do, Nash, they do. Must have been some sort of providence, I reckon.
The word providence has been forever ruined for me because I have at severe risk of Rain Returns brain rot currently. God's will often presents itself as the whim of thieves, does it?
Or no whim, I'm dead sure of that. You weren't, Nash, you were, it weren't. Or like we said at the time.
Don't just find doors open in the middle of the night like that. No, there's no two ways about it.
It was a sign that our long-lost brother was inside. They're not very good liars, are they? Well, you can't deny it. Led us to a bloke what looks just like our bruv.
I said cut it out. Those chips are getting a chomping today. Once we got inside, core blimey loomy, heard a gunshot from the back room.
Hold it!
A gunshot, you say? Just the one, are you sure about that?
Yep, just the one, Governor. I can swear to that. It was, Nash, it was. Ain't that right, bruv?
Firearm used to belong to the victim himself.
Yes, Mr. Windybank always used to leave his gun lying around on the counter.
Right, I remember. When we examined it, we found the revolver was completely out of rounds.
That makes sense. Mr. Windybank always used to say he only ever kept a single bullet loaded.
That's true, I remember him saying that as well. I can say it with considerable certainty. That only a single round was discharged from the firearm used as the murder weapon. Yes, my lord, we can. And I should remind the court, the firearm in question was discovered in the hand of the accused. Wonderful.
Let's see what was what. The door was locked from the inside.
Hold it!
Do you mean the door between the main shop and the storeroom? If my learned friend is having difficulty grasping the situation, perhaps a drawing would help. Excluding the shop's entrance from the street, there is only one other door, that of the storeroom. That's also not quite how the storeroom is laid out. The storeroom actually has an extra chunk off to the side because there was a slot between the shelves in the corner.
Of course, there was only a little oil lamp burning. Not much to see by. And the door was hidden behind a curtain and all.
That's right. When we arrived, the door was mostly obscured by the curtain. Tell me, why exactly did you try to open that door?
Yeah.
Any normal petty thief would run at the sound of a gunshot, I should think. Your turn to rabbit, Ringo.
Well, Nash, yeah. I suppose you'd have to say we ain't normal, eh?
Broadly speaking, humans respond in one of two ways when hearing a gunshot or scream. The timid flee, gripped by fear, while the courageous investigate to see if they might help. These gentlemen are of the latter inclination, my learned Nipponese friend. It would seem it is of the former, or my learned Nipponese friend. It would seem is of the former. Alright, somehow I just proved that I was a coward that night. Thank you, counsels. So, I believe we all understand that the door was locked and could not be opened. Proceed, witnesses.
Never did nothing, Governor. We never took nothing. We just left after that, nice and quiet.
Hold it! You didn't do or take anything. Is that your story?
Well, it was Bedlam soon as, weren't it? It was, Nash, it was. Didn't even have time to pull me dukes out, my Lucy Lockets. What?
So with no time to take your hands out of your pockets, you just left. Nice and quietly, you say.
That's right, Governor. And we ain't more than violence. Peace-loving nibblers, we are, not bludgers. We are, Nash, we are. Never even pulled me dukes out of me Lucy Lockets.
So you'd clearly like us to believe.
Come again.
As you fled from the pawnbrokers that night, did you not run into anyone else? And did you not fire a gun at that person?
Saints alive, they fired a gun, you say? Blimey, Governor. You ain't telling us it was you in the doorway?
It was.
Why the bleeding Nora? Didn't you mention that before?
You were armed with a gun. And as you fled the scene, you fired that gun. At London's greatest detective, Herlock Sholmes. Shot the great Mr. Sholmes?
I did hear that, actually. There was a rumor he'd been rushed to the hospital.
Great Sholmes? It's beyond the pale. On the night in question, this pair were arrested by the police within minutes of the discovery of the crime scene. Their suspicious countenance rapidly gave them away. And when searched, a firearm was indeed found in their possession. Furthermore, the barrel shows signs of a shot having been fired from it. The prosecution invites his lordship to examine the firearm recovered from these brothers. Yes, indeed. Remnants of powder around the muzzle, as you say, counsel. Court will hold this weapon as evidence. Now, my learned Nipponese friend.
Yes?
Here's to you successfully presenting the evidence. I do actually want to check some of my evidence.
Pawnbroker perishes in pick-purse plunder. How awful. For Ginny, I mean.
Tomorrow's headline will be Discharged Diver as Dauntless Do-Gooder, right?
Yes, something like that. If possible, I'd like to go even bigger.
Bigger? How?
Proud pickpocket. Protects planet post-trial, perhaps?
Protects planet?
Oh, I can't wait for tomorrow now. It's going to be so great. There's a sensational story lower down on the front page as well, look. Ministry Mole. Classified secrets may have been leaked overseas from Ministry of Justice.
For a 10-year-old. Eris certainly has her finger on the pulse of the world news.
It's about secret communications between Great Britain and its allies. Apparently they're being intercepted by hostile nations.
Communications are being intercepted. How would somebody be doing that?
And that's the question, isn't it? I've come up with 3 different possible methods so far. Are you looking for a new career, Runo?
No, of course not. I wonder. Perhaps this is what Lord Strongheart was talking about yesterday.
Yes, it could be. And it could explain why he has Gregsy running from pillar to post at the moment.
Single bullet wound in upper half of victim's back. No other visible signs of trauma. Instant death from postero-anterior bullet wound to the heart. Bullet entered the body from the back on a gently rising diagonal trajectory. It could just be that someone hip-fired it. Look at this bullet hole in HD. This is Mr. Windybank's gun. The cylinder is completely empty.
Mr. Windybank always used to keep this gun to hand on his shop counter.
Yes, but only ever with a single bullet loaded, I understand.
That's right. To keep all the pawned articles that were in his care safe.
Because one bullet was fired that night. The poor man lost his life. Was he protecting his shop, I wonder? Trying to keep the articles safe? It's literally all of the text we have there. So there's ammunition still loaded in 5 of this revolver's 6 cylinders.
Yes, which tell us that only a single shot has been fired from it.
Exactly.
The bullet that hit Hurley, in fact, isn't it?
Yes, it happened almost as soon as we walked through Windybank's door.
I'll make those brothers pay.
And you know exactly how she's gonna do it. Let me point this gun at you, my learned Nipponese friend. See how you like it. And for yes, there are the telltale signs of spent powder on this gun, and a single bullet missing from the cylinder. But the prosecution demands evidence that it was fired at the scene of the crime under scrutiny in this trial.
Objection!
Well, I don't need evidence. Because I was there.
Objection!
However, the rest of us in this courtroom were not. If the defense fails to provide evidence in support of its rash claim, we shall have no choice but to toast your incompetence and move on. Evidence that these two fired the gun before they left Windybanks that night. Court demands that all claims are affirmed with clear proof. Why don't we just wheel Sholmes' hospital bed in here? What evidence shows that these witnesses unloaded a firearm into the pawnbroker's shop that night?
Take that!
The evidence is in this portfolio. What on earth have you there, Counsel? During the course of our investigations, we discovered a number of bloodstains. Not trusting the police to do the job they're trained to do. How arrogantly Nipponese of you. Well, anyway, we analyzed all the blood samples we found and recorded the results in this portfolio. claim to have the evidence the court is demanding therein?
Yes, my lord.
More dallying, then, counsel. Present the pertinent evidence at once. Do you have in your portfolio that proves these witnesses unloaded the firearm at the scene?
Take that!
What is that? Explain.
It's a photographic print, taken at Windybank's pawnbrokery on the day of the incident.
Scene of the crime, is it? Is that a bullet hole? And if my ears do not deceive me, it appears the bullet is still lodged in there.
Yes, as your lordship noticed. The bullet pierced Mr. Windybank's calendar. The date shown being the 16th of April, the very day of the pawnbroker's death.
The incident occurred at 1 hour after midnight. This indicates that the separate shot had been fired sometime after the calendar had been set to the 16th.
That's right. And while it isn't irrefutable, the defense believes this is credible evidence that the witnesses did fire a round from their gun in the pawnbrokers that night. Ugh.
Order! What does the prosecution stand, Lord Van Zieks? I'm going to be contrary because I can. It's my job. If that is the direction my learned friend wishes to take, the prosecution has no objection.
What?
Here's cup number 1. But you'll forgive me for flinging my hallowed chalice aside in disgust at the repugnancy it exposes. Yes, on the night in question, these brothers entered the pawnbrokery illegally. And like the bold baddies they claim to be, opened fire on the new arrivals before fleeing back onto the street.
Take it easy there, Governor. You're gonna land us in the soup. We had a deal. You weren't gonna let them get into them details. Tell him, Sulky. Get the bloke straight.
I have nothing to add.
So he knew, did he? Van Zieks knew their testimony would almost certainly expose the extent of their crimes.
It would seem now that I owe my learned Nipponese friend a word of gratitude.
What do you mean?
What I mean, that you have helpfully confirmed an important fact. What fact do you refer, Lord Van Zieks? As has been established, at the point of their arrest, a single shot had been fired from the brothers' gun. However, if that shot found its target in Mr. Sholmes, then clearly these witnesses cannot be accused of the fatal shooting of the proprietor and victim. In other words, these two men have no material connection to the murder of Mr. Windybank at all.
So that's it. That's it. We didn't have nothing to do with it. We did it, Nash, we didn't. That's what I reckon.
Your crimes include unlawful entry, intent to steal, perjury, and let us not forget, attempted murder. Bit of catalog, eh, fellas?
We're in for it now, bruv.
Now then, let us take a moment to consider the aforementioned great detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. It would seem that the man patronized the pawnbrokers in question somewhat regularly.
Where is he going with this?
Mr. Sholmes appears to take pleasure in tinkering with eccentric machinery.
Eccentric? Says who? Not me. Don't give me that look.
installed a pair of machines like this one in the victim's shop.
Oh, that's one of Hurley's red-handed recorders.
What is that, Counsel? It has the appearance of a photographic contraption. As your lordship has surmised, it is indeed a camera attached to a small timing device. Every half an hour, it automatically photographs the interior of the establishment. The idea being that if a thief were to break into the shop, he would be caught red-handed. The prosecution has obtained the photographs taken by the device on the night in question. That is a big-ass stack of photographs. As the court will observe, copious identical prints are produced in quite a desultory fashion. Rather prodigal, I feel. In fact, there are 2 such devices in the victim's shop, my lord. I may refer to the court to the plan of the premises. The respective positions are here and here. You say these cameras produce a print every half hour. I'm afraid I fail to see how that would help if the anticipated thief conducted his activities in one of the many 30-minute intervals. One can only pray that the would-be criminal lingers, my lord. On the night in question, the witnesses currently on the stand were not caught on camera.
It's a bit of friar luck, eh, bruv? Lady Luck loves a skulking.
At what time did your trespassing begin?
Must have been just after 1. Right, bruv? Must have been, Nash. Must have been, yeah. Just got 1. Or just gone 1.
In which case, minutes before these brothers entered the establishment. What scene might we expect to see within the shop? Let us examine the evidence. Well, that is some damning evidence if I've ever seen it. Holy shit. Like, usually you get a bit of damning evidence in these Ace Attorney cases, but holy shit, that is some damning evidence. Good lord. It's the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. As the court can clearly see, the accused is pictured, gun in hand, facing the victim over the shop counter. No doubt coercing the proprietor to open the door to his storeroom. Quite. One can only too easily imagine the events that unfolded. The court will take this photographic print as evidence, if you please, counsel.
I don't believe it. Ginny.
In short, the accused is the only person who could possibly have killed Mr. Windybank. Ah! I say, my lord. Or if I might put in a word at this point. Go ahead, Mr. Foreman. Compelling bullet to the knee in the Battle of Maiwand. 1880, don't you know? Decorated for it and all that. Forced to retire from service, sadly. Of course, and metal can never outshine the exploits of chaps like us on the battlefield. Yes, Mr. Foreman, and what exactly is your point? Carried on the battle after retirement, you see. Battle of daily life, if you like. Here I am now, leading this small squadron. 6 men, all good and true. We'll all go down together, you mark my words. One for all and all for one. The ladies and gentlemen of the jury have reached an agreement, have they? Is that what we are to understand? Well, Mr. Foreman, is that correct? In a manner of speaking, yes. That's the Caradeb Squadron's position, sir. What? No. It's too soon to make a judgment here. Status report for the court, men. On the double.
His lordship insists on promptitude at all times. And that goes for making decisions, too.
Plain the truth is clear as day now. I could reach out and touch it. I wouldn't have left it in there. Just wouldn't. In all honesty, I can't actually remember.
Situation clear. Stop. No room for doubt. Stop. Truth now undeniable. Stop.
Very sorry for brothers. They're unlucky. Very well. I now call upon each member of the jury to state his or her leaning on this matter. Announce your considered verdicts to the court.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Off to a fantastic start, aren't we? Does indeed appear that the jury is unanimous in its leaning already. That photograph. It must be the definitive evidence that Gregson mentioned.
But Ginny didn't shoot him.
No, of course not. My lord, the defense wishes to assert its right to a summation examination. Very well, the court grants permission. So, you refuse to admit defeat again. How unsurprising. We shall proceed immediately with the summation examination. Mr. Foreman, are all the members of the jury ready? Absolutely, sir. Always ready for action, my chaps. Good. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will each explain on what grounds you have determined the defendant to be guilty. And as much as I hate to end early, I'm gonna go ahead and end early because I have a killer headache. So, depending on how my throat feels tomorrow, I should either be continuing this, or there's a chance that if I'm not feeling up to doing a ton of voicing, I might play Mario RPG tomorrow. Just do one episode and then finish this and then continue it. But, I don't know. Probably this tomorrow. We'll figure it out. Otherwise, exclamation point Discord if you want to join the Discord. Exclamation point socials if you want to check out my VODs channel on YouTube or my Blue Sky where I post my art. I literally posted art earlier today. Otherwise, give me just a moment and we'll probably raid Sin. We'll actually have time to raid Sin this time rather than us raiding her and her immediately raiding someone else. Yep. Sin is streaming. So yeah, I guess I hope to see you tomorrow. Have a good one and take care.